pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call vote. Roll call people. Sheila.
Here.
Anita.
Here.
Amy.
Here.
Stacy.
Here.
Myself here. Alright, if we can get a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Alright, we are going to open our budget public hearing. So if we have any, it's the time we got 6:01. Do we have any public comment on our budget hearing?
Can I ask why the audit increased the amount? Did you switch auditors?
For the,
It increases every year.
yeah,
Okay. And
just
that-
like inflation, you know.
Life.
Yeah,
I just didn't know if we switched or not. That was my only question.
now we just go with the estimates that they put in for the next
Oh.
year and go from there. Any other public comment? So we will close that section of the public budget hearing at 6:02. Board comments on our budget.
Oh, I do, I have a lot.
Yeah.
So we had our, budget workshop and the clerk put out an interim, budget and asked for us to submit any changes or recommendations we had. I did that. I didn't get favorable response from the clerk. I asked for a special, meeting to be held before we had this public hearing so that we could discuss a lot of the recommendations that I had, and I was told that you know, at this point that was absurd to have to do that. So I have all the edits and recommendations and responses I have to the, response that was put out to me.
Just to be clear, you had like 23 things that you wanted fixed when we already had a meeting.
Actually, no, I had 18 and some of them were just questions.
No one else felt that we needed to have a meeting. That was not just my call.
Man,
Yep.
Lacey, sent out an email and touched on each of your points. I know I spoke with Jason, and I myself went over it on my own as well, and I had received a call and asked if I felt we needed a meeting, and I agreed that I didn't think we did. And at the time of our special meeting, I think I agree with what I heard Lacey say, that it could have been addressed in the meeting. And like you said, you had a lot of questions, so. I yield.
Okay. Well, that was what the budget workshop was for, was to go through, and if there were any changes, Lacey asked for us to submit any edits or changes that we might have. I did that. I didn't know if anybody else had said anything, but I did that. That was what I was supposed to do. I am the treasurer. I am responsible for all the revenues and all the expenditures for this township. I do have a say in this. Some of the items that I asked about, were just questions, and I got like, paragraph of answers, response to it. But,
A
This
lot of
is-
it's explanation, like,
So this is what, the note I sent out to the board when I had my edits, that Jason had told me to send it out to the entire board, so I did. I said, this is our first year as a new board. There are many unknowns, and I feel we should proceed with caution when approving the proposed 25-26 budget. I'd like to ask for your help in reviewing the attached list of recommended edits I made to the 5/15 proposed budget Lacey provided for our review. Please go over these two documents and share any recommended changes you may have. I said estimated revenue appears to be the same amount as last year. That needs to be adjusted before we move forward with our approval. We need to prioritize our expenditures and create a contingency fund to cover any line item shortages that may come up during the fiscal year. We need to establish a general savings account to save for future needs. We must start putting funds into the fire department equipment savings fund. These funds will come from the Emergency Medical Services Special Assessment District revenue. A year ago, the $4,000 a month the previous board was putting away was stopped. Currently, the fund only has $50,000 balance. So we need to closely monitor monthly expenditures so we don't go over a budgeted line item. It isn't okay, for example, to be 957% over a line item budgeted amount. Instead, with a watchful eye, we as a board will review and approve moving funds from contingency to a line item or from one fund with excess to one in need of more funds. That is the way it is supposed to be handled. That is how we keep a balanced budget. Where are we going to cut unnecessary expenses and increase savings? Trying to cut cemetery expenses failed. I was the only board member to vote no on keeping these unnecessary cemetery expenses. Now we are still burdened with employee pay, equipment purchases, maintenance of equipment, etc. We will need to look at making changes in the future. Thanks for your help with making us the new board that campaigned on bringing transparency and positive change to our township government. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. So I had like 18 items. Some of them were just some questions. I don't feel we're ready to approve this budget tonight, actually, until some of these are
do
changed.
you want me to read my response to your email? Because I answered every single question. I mean, everybody that I've spoken to agrees that your questions were answered, and you can preach that you're trying to be conservative with the budget, but you're the one that's increased everything in our budget by your request. So,
I have?
Well, I mean, requesting a pay raise, being 6 months into
all of your requests in your email, like, that's the part you're not reading. Like, you didn't understand, we already have the EMS savings on there. That's in the budget. So some of the things that you're trying to read right now to say that we don't have, we do have, and it was
Well, why
explained
has
to
no
you.
money then been put from that fund into the savings account?
You
Why
can't-
is
you
there
can't
no
start-
money
Budget
in that
hasn't-
savings account?
They
The
can't
budget
start till
hasn't
July
started
1st.
yet.
It was last year as well. It's been a year since they put any money into that fund.
That's not our fault.
It's not.
We're addressing.
But I am trying to understand, and last board meeting, Lacey recommended that we cough up the money and put in all the money that we missed.
I
So
did
I'm
make
trying to understand, I am new.
But it is
As
on
all
the
the-
budget. It's $60,000 is budgeted for that this year.
So even though we approved to have it a couple meetings back, doesn't mean we can, like, next day write the check and move the funds over.
I mean,
Right, or does
this-
that mean it has
that's
to go
the-
to this
Okay, this budget and that budget are two different things.
Right.
Yes, we can do that, but what we're talking about right now is the proposed budget for next year.
Correct.
And I
Correct.
really thought my email was pretty thorough on answering your questions. Like, the only concern that right now you did not get answered was your wage increase request, and to me, that should have been presented at the public hearing.
Was yours
Everybody
presented
else-
at the budget workshop?
Yep, we didn't have a budget workshop,
Oh, we
Mm-hmm.
did.
not last year.
This year.
I didn't get a wage increase this year. Nobody got a wage increase this
May-
year.
Should you, Lacey, should you read your email? Because
I
you-
am not reading
you
this.
don't
I am
want-
not,
Okay.
I don't like being in front of people as it is, and this
Sure,
is
I
long.
get
If anybody wants a copy of it, I'd be glad to give it. But like what she's reading
I
is
agree.
not presenting everything here.
I agree. Cutting
I
and
agree.
pasting.
Yes.
You're cutting and pasting, and
Like she asked for a deputy supervisor line item to be added. Isn't that Jason's call? He didn't ask for that at the public hearing. There's so many things in this that
Remember,
you're.
Jason and I discussed that, and he even indicated who he thought that person would be, so I was just bringing it up in case he hadn't thought about,
I
you
just,
know, putting it
so
on.
the budget public
Anyway,
hearing
I'm
is
not gonna
this,
argue with you,
where
Lacey.
all of this should have been asked. It's like, you waited until we thought the budget was good, cause I presented it twice. We thought it was good to come back with all of these comments, like, these were a lot of comments that could have been presented at our first meeting. Then they could have been properly addressed. Just my opinion.
Any other board comments?
No, I'm not done yet, Jason. We're gonna be here a while. So I'm gonna go, the second one is, I asked why the administrative assistant's line item budget was $40,000. I thought that was too high. I got responses. Lacey said she's covering, you know, to make sure we have enough. Jason says, well, it's for, you know, payroll taxes and raises. And I thought payroll taxes came out of a separate line item, not out of this actual wages and salaries.
are you talking about 01 or 101172702.2?
Item 2.
That doesn't tell me anything. I'm asking for the line, because if you're speaking of the office coordinator, is that the line you're speaking
Yes.
of? That was 58,000 before we came in, now it's 40,000. And I understand that we would need to have, for lack of a better term, cushion. I know that when I do my budgeting at home, I have a set money set aside for, what is estimated and then extra. So 40,000, I understand that we'd need to have workman's comp in there. That wouldn't be included if it was just her wages for the year, which you're saying is 23,000, is that correct? So we need to have a cushion. 40,000 is what we all talked about when we had the special meeting.
No, we didn't. This was done afterwards. This was after we had our budget workshop. It came back with a change. from
We talked about
58,000.
it at the budget workshop, all the changes, so I'm confused that you're confused.
Okay.
What was the next item?
I still think that is too high, and I'd like to know how that is broken out. Isn't it payroll expenses done separately? Lacey?
Payroll taxes are a separate line item, yes.
Okay, so wouldn't that portion come out of the payroll line item and not out of her wages and salaries?
Yes, but
Okay.
I just feel like going from 58 last year down to 40 and not knowing, we have a lot of unknowns.
And
I
that's
feel-
what, that was the point of having a contingency, but, okay.
But I don't, like, if you look up the state of Michigan state chart of accounts, they don't really give you a contingency. Like, that's not something that exists,
Okay.
so.
And I don't know everything, and that's why I was kinda asking, do we need to have that so we could cover if we're short on something or over on something, and we can move it around. So,
I think that just keeps us safe. I mean, and then next year, when we see where Bobby, because she is new, if we're way too high with 40, we can cut it again next year. I mean, just because it's there doesn't mean it needs to be spent or will be spent.
So having said that, when something is requested, recommended, we have it there, our year is ending, whatever's not used goes into a general fund and then gets redistributed into these line items, am I
I
understanding?
mean, it's just not spent, so
Right,
this is
okay, so it
just,
stays in that line and then it gets into the budget for the next year.
I mean, we don't, if like 18,000 isn't spent, we don't increase it 18,000 or take away, it's just your judgment.
Right, and you're showing the percentage that was used
Yes,
at the end of the year.
yes.
So it's not like the money's getting thrown away if it's extra not
Right.
used.
It stays in our general fund, can be used for something else, or put in, like I said, if we get to the end of the year, we can use that to initiate that money into a savings account.
And we discussed that, and you explained that to me, that makes
Yes,
sense.
if we're severely
Mhm.
under budget next year, that's when that money that Anita and I did discuss, if we're a lot under, that we could
Mhm.
transfer a portion to the savings account.
Right.
But, I mean, that's just to see where we're at next year.
Yeah. And on your salary, Lacey, you had indicated you were gonna, it was gonna be raised by 2,000, and I only asked the question if that's 1,000 per election, where it came from.
So
Did it
that-
come from your salary, or was it extra out of the general fund? Cause I didn't know, that was my only question on
So
that.
I had 30 budgeted for myself, and in my email, I said I added the 2 in case we have elections,
Mhm.
which is already in my pay scale. Like, that's not something, I wasn't giving myself a wage increase, just if we have 2 elections, then my salary is covered. If we don't have any elections, then that 2,000 isn't used, but that's not new this year, it's always been that way.
Okay, I was just asking, cause I was not sure. And I'll just go ahead and I'll bring it up why I asked for a raise. I collect and disperse $10 million a year.
So did Trudy.
Yep.
And Trudy hadn't had a raise in
13 years or something like
7
that.
years, and then we just bumped her up, so I think that's, I don't think that's okay. I mean,
And
have
so
you,
I asked, and you said that, oh, you know, I shouldn't put myself in for a raise, but I've done some checking. You actually said, Lacey, when I talked to you in your office, that you and I were 2 of the most underpaid, and we should be making more money.
if you look across the state board, but I'm happy with
So
where
I
I'm
looked up at Constantine Township, and their treasurer makes almost 29,000, and they have a less than $500,000 budget a year. So that's kind of where that was coming from. And it's not based on that I've only been here 6 months. It's based on merit. It's based on what I bring, what I've done. You want to say that I have a learning curve? Okay, I had a learning curve because the other treasurer walked out. Okay, I was left nothing.
you were elected.
And
That doesn't mean that the person that wasn't elected stays and helps you. I didn't get any help when I started here. I mean,
I'm just stating I was not transitioned, so it was difficult. It was a learning curve. I
You
put
signed
in
up
a
for
lot of
that.
hours, and so that's the only reason I asked. You know, of course, it's up to this board. I'm good.
Well, I'm surprised, because I know when I was campaigning with you, you were like, we don't need to be worrying about getting paid such and such, whatever it was. I'm upset right now, and I know the rest of us are. And this is like an ambush, Anita.
What's an ambush? That we're discussing this?
How you went about this,
No.
period.
I just feel like all of these questions were what you do at the budget public hearing, not after the budget public hearing,
We haven't had a budget public hearing yet.
or
This is
budget
it.
workshop meeting,
Mhm.
where we change everything.
Okay.
So I guess the best thing to do is just keep going down the list. I went over it, and then we'll do our vote. Okay.
So we had a CD that had close to $260,000 in it. The prior board canceled that CD 3 months early. We took a penalty for interest earned. It was to pay off the pole barn. I understand that because the pole barn had a 6% interest on it. So it was savings to get rid of that loan that we had on that. But right now, we have less than $230,000 in our bank account for our savings. That is not good. We're not doing as well as I think we should, and that's where this is coming from. We need
So you're
to,
requesting us to increase things more?
no,
Seems like that.
It's gonna take a little bit of time to build back up after the onset, the cost of the building. There's nothing we can do to change that now, all we have to do is keep
yeah,
building up, and if we add more items into the budget for spending more, it's gonna increase our spending, and we're gonna have less money at the end of the year.
Have we got?
but a township this big, that has this much money, should be doing better than we're doing, and that's all I'm concerned about, is that we, start putting money away for the future, for future generations, to make sure we have money aside if we have an emergency. I guess with $50,000, we wouldn't buy much of a fire truck or piece of equipment. That's where this is coming
We
from.
could definitely do more than 60. That's what we have budgeted. If we see how this year
Mhm.
goes, and then we
Mhm.
see our expenses next year,
Mhm.
we could double that the following year.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not anything that we should decide at this moment, because we went from this year not doing any to next year doing 60. I already feel like that's a pretty substantial increase.
Yeah. Well, you had indicated we could have another special meeting last week. And
I did.
did
I
not
said
know. I
Thursday
did
or
not get
Friday.
your email. I'm having trouble with emails coming through on my township account. I didn't get it. And when I did see it, I go, well, this is a bit too late.
And I did speak, and Jason did speak with everyone else, and they didn't think that we needed to have another budget workshop meeting.
At 6 months, can we like sit down, when we sit down and say, okay, we've only used this much, we're 6 months in. Can we take
You
some of that
can-
and
you
transfer
can
it
make
over to savings?
amendments.
And then,
You can't really transfer something to savings.
Okay.
Because you need to keep what your budget, whatever our
Right.
budget is, you need
You've
to
gotta
keep,
keep it
right?
for next year.
But you can make amendments monthly.
Okay.
If there was something that you didn't think was, like I told Jason, some of these changes, okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from, the assessor's contract, I didn't even know that exists. So that's something that we had to change.
Mhm.
If there's something like that that comes up, you can amend your budget every single month with a resolution. So that's another reason why I was like, do we need to have a meeting? Because if something like this is small, we could amend it
Mhm.
later if we see that it needs to be.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm almost done. So I do have a question about the cemetery, line item for the salaried sexton. And we did talk at the special meeting for the budget workshop that you would break out a special line item for the hourly. And then I had also inquired, just recently with all my questions I had, about the, office assistant, administrative assistant, also having a line item because she is selling cemetery plots. And that money has to come from somewhere, and Jason had said it would come out of the cemetery budget, so that's why I asked about a line item for those two things, because they didn't get split. I'd like to be able to see how much is being spent for the hourly, versus the sexton. So when you look at it, you see. Now, some people may look at it and say, oh yeah, the sexton makes this much, divided by 12, it's always this much every month. But people just looking at that aren't part of, the board, they wouldn't be able to tell how much was, hourly and how much went to the sexton. That's all.
And
So that's why I asked about that, and you indicated you would add that line item. It didn't get done, so I wasn't sure.
I indicated that I would put a call into BSNA to see how to do that, because right now in BSNA, that doesn't exist. So I could do that, it would take me calling BSNA, get somebody to call me back, then put the lines in. I knew that wasn't gonna happen this budget year.
Oh, not even this budget year at all, okay.
I
We
mean,
can't make an adjustment?
if I can get a number and then split out the costs
Mm-hmm.
and still have the budget numbers be what they are now, I can try, but calling BSNA lately is not just a
I know.
Monday job, and then I'm not here on Friday, so then when they call me back, I'm not here, and then I have to start over the next week.
Yeah, no, I understand.
we will try.
I understand, okay.
I will try to do that.
charge us per line that we have, or is it just?
No,
Okay,
No.
I'm thinking, oh my gosh, are they
You
gonna
can
charge us
create-
for adding a line?
I could probably try to create the account lines, but getting their help and making sure they're right and making sure they follow the state chart of accounts, which was our whole reasoning for switching to BSNA, would be just helpful.
Well, I will say, back in 2022, our expenses exceeded our budget. And the state of Michigan wrote us up.
They gave
I'm
you a
not sure if you were
corrective
here, a
action.
corrective action, so I just don't wanna see something like that, happen again. I wanna err being cautious and make sure that we look at what we're doing every month and say, do we need to make adjustments here? Do we need to add money? Do we need to stop spending in this line item until we, the new budget year comes? That's what I want us to do. I don't want to wait until the end of the year and say, let's make all these changes now.
Right.
And then find
And
out it's too late to fix it.
In 2023 is when we started collecting on our special assessment districts, and that really would have helped in 2022, which we didn't have that money. So doing so has increased our revenues greatly to cover our fire department, and keep our budget in line because of that revenue is helping the cost of the fire department. So, I mean, I do agree that we should look at the budget and make amendments, but I think that's the biggest reason why 2022 was that way. But when you say that a corrective action plan from the state of Michigan is like, what are you gonna do better next year? So it's really not a huge.
And I didn't
obviously,
see the
it's not-
budget, the correction plan, it wasn't a part of the letter that I found, which I found a couple of years ago. So anyway, not trying to have everybody be upset over all this, I just wanna work it out, I wanna make sure we're all discussing it, where we need to head, where I think we need to head, because I'm the one that is responsible for all this. And I want to make sure that we're going down the path that we're supposed to be going down, so that we don't have something, come up that we're blindsided by, that we should have known or should have looked at, unless we all talk. I had no idea. The two trustees didn't respond to anything,
They responded to me.
but they didn't respond to me, and I was the one asking the question, so maybe I would have had some of these answers already, if I had known that there was other input. That's all.
Well, the
That's
email,
all.
this response email is what they replied to me. So the questions, they could see the answers to your questions too. You guys saw that email?
I answered your email.
Yes, you did. So did Amy. So did Jason.
Yeah, but see, I didn't know that, because I wasn't privy to that information, that it had been
I
answered.
haven't seen you, like you have not been here.
You didn't get the email because I never responded. to
That one, yours I got, but I didn't know about the other.
I've been
Also,
here
I must
every
have just
single
hit reply
Thursday.
and not reply all? Is that what I did?
Must have.
You were just responding to me, so did,
Yeah,
I think
so-
Sheila did as well.
That's okay. All right, I'm done.
All right, so any other comments on the budget? All right, so we are at the approval of the budget. If we can get a motion to approve the budget as presented for the 25-26 year.
I make a motion to approve the budget for 25,
25-26 year.
26.
I'll second.
Any other comments, discussion? Do roll call?
Sheila,
Yes.
Anita,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Amy, myself, yes.
Motion carried. So the budget resolution, do we need to do a same thing, right? That's just, you do that part, right?
Yeah, I'll fill it out.
Okay. And that's carried on. All right. Can we get a motion to accept May 7th, 2025 minutes as presented?
I'll make the motion to approve the.
Second.
Okay.
Sorry. I thought you were done.
All-
Sorry.
I was
all-
trying to be formal.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, financial report. Had a chance to look at it, mine got mixed up here. We need a motion to accept the financial report as presented. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Payment of bills. We have a motion to accept the payment of bills as presented.
I have a question.
Yes.
Was the Hip Hatters catering for the election?
Yes.
School board? Or is school board paying us back?
Yes.
The school pays us back, yes.
You can take that.
Yep.
The, lawn care.
Custom, it was for foundations at the cemetery.
They poured two of the foundations for the headstones.
I know there was two.
Custom lawn care, repairs and maintenance,
Yes. Should be 20.
266280.
Yep.
Okay, so they do those.
Yeah.
Oh.
There were two, correct?
Two,
That were-
no, there
There's
was.
a lot more than two.
Oh, was there? Okay,
There
I
was-
only saw two.
Like 8.
8 or 9, yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's sad.
They try to do them every before Memorial Day and before Labor Day. And then we have a special one going over that when we get to the cemetery stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so I need a motion for payment of bills.
I have a question.
Yep.
What was St. Joseph County Clerk, professional services, she was paid?
We have a quarterly contract with the county
Oh.
for early voting, and it's a contract that is odd year and even year, but less in the odd year.
Okay,
For
so it had to do
elections.
with the elections?
Yes, and we had to
Okay.
pay them for an error on their end for last year of us being underbilled. So I gave Jason the email that explained those costs. We were underbilled, so actually everybody in that group was underbilled. So when they found the error, they sent that out. So that's more than it normally is.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on that? Okay, the motion, payment of bills.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. All, do you roll call that one?
Yeah. Jason?
Yes.
Anita?
Yes.
Sheila?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Alright. Old business, we had no old business to discuss tonight. New business, consumers, energy, solar request. For the rest of the board, consumers has a plant on A Road that they're looking at doing a solar project out in the front of it. It's, everything is contained inside of their fencing. I'll let them guys give a brief description, but, technically their lot, it has a front yard to it, but it doesn't because everything's inside of a fence, and they wanna put it in front of the building. So Mike, our zoning administrator, he didn't have an issue with it, but he wanted to get the board's approval on it, just, so we were all clarified on that. And I guess one of you guys wanna give just a brief description of what's going on there and,
Yeah, I came prepared with multiple opportunities or options to present the project, so, I think what might be easiest, if it's okay with the board, I have basically a PowerPoint presentation printed out.
Okay.
Just to kind of give a brief overview of the project itself. And we have the project team here as well that can answer any technical questions that may come up. Well, there's a few copies left, if anybody can pass those around. So once again, my name is Joe Lawson here on behalf of Consumers Energy. As you mentioned, we do have a gas compressor station over on A Road. And sounds kind of odd, but we have to buy electricity just like everybody else. We don't service the facility ourselves, not that it would matter, but so in order to take an opportunity to save money for our customers, we're requesting to allow the installation of this the solar facility. Just to put some maybe hearts at ease, this is not a utility scale solar project that's feeding the grid. It specifically feeds that facility only. It's an accessory to that facility and feeds only that facility. Just a little bit of history. I mean, Consumers Energy's been around for about 140 years. We service either with gas and electric or both, every county in the southern or in the lower peninsula. We have 8,200 full-time employees, and we just happen to be one of the state's largest landowners and taxpayers. Similar to a township master plan, we also have a clean energy plan on how we will move forward as a company. And as part of that, we're retiring our last coal plant, or at least we thought we were until recently. And as part of that, we have to make up that difference, obviously. So renewables is part of the path forward in that. Not only for the whole state, but for facilities such as this. So this facility, like I said, is an accessory for that specific use for the compressor station. Just a quick summary, the project, we're calling it White Pigeon Solar. We would be the owner-operator of the facility itself. The facility, the solar facility, will provide supplemental energy to the gas compressor facility. This is also known, just like once again, to put hearts at ease, is an accessory solar installation or a behind the meter. So it's not, like I said, for transmission to the grid. The project itself is proposed to have an output of 350 kilowatts of solar and would have a 75 kilowatt battery storage system. Now, once again, people kind of get upset about batteries. This is not a lithium-ion battery that you hear about with fires. And Brian's here and he can explain the battery a little bit more. This is an iron flow battery.
Iron redox flow battery.
Which is not a lithium-ion. So obviously this being a gas compressor station, this battery is less likely to catch fire and is safer for the facility. The total investment for this project is estimated at $3 million. On page 3, page 3 is the battery itself. As you can see in the photograph, it kind of looks like a shipping container. And with inside, Brian, you want to go and explain that part?
Sure. Essentially, battery is very similar to a car battery, only much larger in scale. Instead of the acid being in the battery itself, there's a tank. And there's pumps that pump it through the plates. And depending on the direction that it's pumped, it'll either charge the fluid or it'll discharge energy from the fluid. That's the gist of it. It uses the fluid that is water, salt, and iron powder. And basically what it does is it oxidizes that or deoxidizes it. And that creates the ability to store energy or discharge energy.
So that I wouldn't say, it's a newer technology for us. It would be the first, correct me if I'm wrong,
That's correct.
flow battery for us. So we're looking to utilize that here. Like I said, it's safer, doesn't have the lithium ion component to it. So that is something that we could utilize to capture any excess energy from the solar panels. We store it in there and we can use it in the facility over nighttime hours or when it's not quite as sunny. On page 4, another question that comes up often is what's in a solar panel itself. There's a lot of, I say, misinformation out there or information that doesn't bode well for solar panels, but this diagram shows exactly what's in it. Essentially, 75% of it's glass, copper, silicon, aluminum, and polymers or plastics. There's a lot of panels, say back in the 90s, when panels were new, they had the forever chemical PFAS was in the caulk. That is not the case anymore. They don't use PFAS in the caulk. It's basically a silicon-based caulk now, so that's not even in the works anymore. If you would like, we can provide you or the fire department with the SDS sheets that show basically everything in these panels. There's nothing toxic or anything to worry about in the panels itself. Project timeline, we made an application, actually we made an application about a year ago. Unfortunately, the project had to get delayed, so we were unable to construct within the permit time frame. We made application and contacted Mike, the zoning administrator, this year, and we thought it was a good idea to come forward and present this to the board. One, because of the location of the facility, like you said, kind of in the front yard technically. Because of the layout of the site, and I can show you on the next slide there, on page 5. So that top slide is showing basically, the yellow line on the kind of left is US 12, A road runs across the bottom. Basically where the little hand is, just, say north of that, it'd actually be west, just above that little white hand is that front yard area that we're looking to install the panels. If you look, what would technically be a rear yard, it's a big wetland. We don't want to disturb the wetland by putting panels in it. Nor can we get too close to the actual compressor just for safety's sake, just in case. So the most logical spot is that technical front yard area within the fence. And the point of interconnect, or where the panels will tie into our electrical system, is there as well. So we wouldn't have to run additional utilities or equipment. The bottom,
One
Oh,
other
sorry,
perspective, Joe, is it's also a safety issue because of the gas blowdown stacks are at the northwest part of the property. We did a plume analysis to make sure that if anything did short out at the same time that there was a gas blowdown, that it would not be a dangerous event. So we picked that point to get far away from the source of gas if that did occur.
thank you, Brian. The bottom photo on that sheet is the layout itself, north being up, A road on the right, US 12 on the bottom, off the screen, or off the sheet. This shows the layout. There's, 8 rows of panels, and then at the bottom left-hand corner would be the battery itself that we discussed, and the inverter skid, and kind of in the middle bottom. So just for, and it's a little hard to see on this sheet. So the fence itself would be 35 feet off of the A road right-of-way, which is further than the paved portion, obviously. And then the panels would be another 10 feet past that. So the panels would be 46 feet or so, 45 feet off of the road right-of-way. The next sheet, on sheet 6, shows some illustrations of what the panel area would look like. As you can see, the overhead wire lines are there. That's part of the reason that the location was chosen there. The bottom is just a road view of what it may look like from A road. And then the last page, sheet 7, is just the contact or names of the development team here that's here this evening. If there's anything that we can answer for you, like I said, the entire team's here. If there's any technical questions that we can help with, or think of anything afterwards, reach out as well. But that's pretty much in a nutshell.
I have a question.
Ma'am.
What is gonna be underneath the panels, grass, gravel?
Oh, good question, I'm glad you asked. We were just discussing that in the parking lot. It will be pollinators, so it's a low growth pollinator, wildflowers, things like
Okay.
that.
All right. Yeah, just wanna keep it nice and neat.
Yes, absolutely. The options were sod, grass, or the pollinators.
I'd rather pollinate.
As a company, our environmental goals, we like to do pollinators where we can, because we get a pollinator scorecard with the state. So we really try to maintain those as best as we can. All of our utility scale stuff, which this is not, but our utility scales, we do the same thing. We do pollinators under the entire solar array, just to keep our pollinator scorecard at a high level.
Did you have to do any studies for like glare or anything like that?
The panels themselves absorb 98% of light, so there's not gonna be any glare that gets off-site. This, not being a utility scale, falls under a little bit, I don't wanna say lesser, but less scrutiny. If this were, a 500 acre or 1,000 acre, I'm sure your ordinance would probably require glare studies, sound studies, all that fun stuff. But this is a 350 kilowatt, much smaller facility, so
Okay, thank you.
Liz?
Some townships have ordinances as to where solar fields like this can go. Does this township have an ordinance that states where there can go?
On
And so-
residential property, but there was nothing on industrial properties like this. So it's like I said, Mike, I mean, he actually could have approved it, with that part of it, but with something this scale, he wanted the board approval, I mean, just to make sure that we're on there. Like I said, I kind of went out and looked at it myself, just to make sure, wanted to make sure it wasn't obstructing anybody's views, houses and any of that stuff that's around there, and where he had a setbacks. I think originally you guys wanted, was it 30 feet, Mike went it back to 35 or something like that. There was a number, like it got increased by 5 feet or something like that, just to make sure, yeah.
Yeah, between last year and this year.
Yep, so, yeah, so like I said, it's kind of a rare scenario like that with being a front yard, being an industrial, there's technically no, yeah, cause they could put up a facility out front there and gas pipes and everything else out there, so, and I appreciate you guys coming in and Mike, bringing us just to make sure we're all on the same page and get everybody's, approval on that part of it, but.
Would this require any kind of a special use permit or?
They're not doing it, selling it off-site. He said it wouldn't require that. Mike said that there was no special use for that part of it.
Okay.
They're using it for themselves. It was just basically the courtesy of them coming up, and like I said, Mike wanted to check with us before
Okay.
he did something without, our approval on this, so. And like I said, I really appreciate him doing that, so.
And we appreciate the opportunity to come
Yeah.
and present it.
Yeah, so I mean, just so everybody, all the facts are out in public here and everybody knows, and there's no, oh, they did this, they did that, or somebody else, and like I said, because it was an industrial site, where you guys are at, so that's why we're looking at that, so.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Yep,
Most solar panels move, are these ones stationary, or are they gonna move like?
These
all
are
around?
stationary. Yeah, these do not have a tracker on them.
yep. Good question. I mean,
Yeah.
you see
I just know the
everybody-
ones in Sturgis move all the time, I just didn't.
Yep.
Yeah, our larger utility scale panels, they do, they have an east-west tracker on them, but this is your home system on steroids a little bit.
I'm curious,
Ma'am?
are there any, tax incentives or government funding that's being put towards the cost of the project?
No, this is not one of those projects. This is being paid for by Consumers Energy, our customer base. Basically, it will turn into a savings eventually, because of the electricity we're not paying the local utility provider for.
Well, I was curious about that. Do you have an estimated amount of electric that you think it will produce before the panels will need to be replaced?
They're usually good for 30 years.
Okay.
Where the cost savings comes in, does anybody know? I mean, it's 7 years, that's usually,
With just the solar part, it's in that range, this battery adds some to it. And we are getting a tax credit.
tax credit, but not grants. I get that question a lot. It's not, the government doesn't hand us a check. We have to pay for it, install it, and just like, you write off your mortgage insurance, or interest, it's kind of the same way. We have one pager for the battery, if you guys are interested in that, if you wanna share it with your fire department.
Yeah, Jeff's actually one of our, update guys. He's the technical guru, so we can yell at them, because they'll need to know about that as well. With the board, would you guys feel comfortable making a decision on this tonight? And like I said, Mike has already said that they meet the setbacks and stuff, what it is. They just wanted to do, to get the board's blessing on that with where it's gonna be located at.
The only comment I had was where it said if something, it would go to the north and west. I do know that there's Fairview Drive with all those houses on the south side of 12. I just wanna make sure that, there be no impact to the residential.
Well, they're blowing, okay, so if, I know I did a little bit of work back there years ago on your guys' site, putting in light poles and stuff, but, so if there's too much pressure, they have a blow off that they, like sometimes you'll hear it sounds like a big jet engine going off, that they release the pressure and that goes typically to the northwest, the wind tracks where that goes, and this is on the southeast corner of it, so they put it as far away from that as possible. So the blow off is still gonna happen whether this is here or not, it's just certain times of the year that when pressure gets up there, or I'm not sure exactly what causes that, but.
There's also an emergency, if there happened to be a leak inside the building.
Yep.
They hit the button and release all the gas, so.
Okay.
But
work up there. Is everybody familiar with what we do out there? I know we've got some new board members, and if you ever wanna take a tour, we'd be happy to do that. I mean, as a board, if you wanna go out, it's in your community, we really appreciate you hosting it, and it's a critically important facility, not just for this community, but for the entire state. So even though we don't service with electricity, like Pigeon, that facility is a critical piece of infrastructure for our state. So, you know, if you ever wanna go out there and see it, there's not a lot, it's a lot of pipes and motors and stuff, but still, you can get a hands-on, up close and personal. We'd be happy to take you on a tour and set it up and have our operations team show you what we do out there. Maybe we wait till after the solar's in, you can see the whole thing, but if you ever wanna do that, just let me know and I'll get you my number.
Okay.
It's been there a long time.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a long time.
Long. I'm fine with it.
So I would make a motion that we, accept the solar plan that they presented based on Mike doing the zoning and that everything meets the zoning setbacks in there, that, we were good with that. You got a second on that?
I'll second it.
Do a roll call on that, or do it? Okay.
Amy,
Yes.
Anita,
Yes.
Sheila,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
myself, yes.
Okay. As long as yeah, all the setbacks with Mike are good, we're good with that, and look forward to seeing that. And I mean, like I said, it's an industrial site, so it'll fit in, it helps you guys out, and helps all the customers out in the future. Like I said, that'll be interesting for you. All right, thanks guys. Yeah, if you guys wanna take off, you're more than welcome. Okay, very good, appreciate it. All right, that is the end of our new business.
No, it's not.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't read about that. So we need to make a motion for that?
No.
Okay, so we're
We've
just,
already scheduled it.
we're just gonna, so our special emergency services meeting, we have a special meeting on June 19th, 2025 at 10 a.m. To just approve that. We were waiting for the resolution from the lawyers. That what took so long, or is that, or?
Really, it was just, Lance and, Don took care of this before. And upon searching my emails, I found this and I was like, oh wait, is anybody doing this? And nobody was. So I took it upon myself to make the publications, which are required. And, unfortunately, when I noticed all this, the publication cannot go in time to have it today. So, that's why we're having a special meeting, is because it requires 2 publications by law. And, yeah, so the first one will be Saturday, June 6th, and then the following, no, is it Friday? I don't know, Friday and Friday. So you have to have the 2 publications before you can have the meeting. So, and then we got the resolution from the attorney.
Yep.
And the rules from Kevin Harris, which are also required for the meeting. So that's why we have to have a special meeting. We just didn't have all of the information to have it today. So, and it's just a renewal. There's nothing changing with it, but it's required, so.
Okay. That's the end of the new business. All right, public comment. We'll try to keep these close to 3 minutes. We'll answer if we can, something. If not, we'll get the information to you in the quickest, timeliest manner we can. And any public comment? Paige?
Do you know if the township is opting into Eagle View or not?
What is what?
Eagle View.
Eagle View, the county was planning on switching from Fetch to a program called Eagle View. Are you guys gonna opt into that, or are you opting out of that? Cause I know
It's a
it's been
cost.
discussed, yeah, it
It's a
costs,
cost.
yes.
Yeah.
Are we
Yeah.
opting into it, or are
Not
we
that we know
deciding
of.
not to?
Nothing has been discussed yet about it.
Okay.
Let's just put it this way, I hear Eagle View, I'm a no.
I just,
I don't even want details, sorry, not. They're an overreach.
Anything else? Any other public comment? Yes.
My comment is to Anita about her raise, that 6 months into you being elected as a government official here, that you politicked on Trudy's big raise that she got.
And every month you come in and you talk about how much money you've collected on taxes and every meeting about how much you've done. And, you know, you don't get paid based on how much money you bring in. This is an elected job. And I just think it's kind of rude that you're asking for a raise already 6 months into this elected job. That's all.
Any other public comment? Yes.
My name is Kelly Weaver, and I was just curious on the bills that were paid, the MTA, is that the Michigan Township Association? Is that an annual fee? And it covers all your, I don't know, each of you has
Membership.
a membership?
It's a membership,
Is that
it's
what it
an
is?
additional, they provide lawyers if something's needed for beyond,
We just do the basic membership, but that way we can all sign up and use the programs, and we get the newsletters, and we get the books, and we get the educational portions if we wish to use them. And covers the township if we ever need anything legally, above and beyond our lawyer.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's an annual.
Okay, okay, I was just curious about that. And then I also wanted to make everyone aware about the Axe My Tax. If you haven't heard, it's an initiative to eliminate Michigan property tax to get it on the ballot for 2026. They are currently collecting signatures to get it on the ballot, so I have a petition here. If you'd like to have an opportunity to vote on eliminating your property tax, I can take your signature afterward.
anything else? All right, we'll close this section of public comment. Any correspondence from the board? All right, zoning administration. So, there was a complaint that, on Marathon Road about animals running free. Letters were sent out to the owner, Mr. Fell. He stated that he, let's see, realize that district there. He, within the next, by June 30th, he will have the animals removed from the property, since they don't have secure areas and stuff for it, and that case was closed. So hopefully he gets everything taken care of with that, and then we're good. Mike also had made a statement on here, says, I'll read his comment here. So it says, he would like to address to the board about our administrative assistant, Bobby Scott. Bobby has been a wonderful addition to the White Pigeon Township. She has taken upon herself to redo all of the outdated forms. One by one, she has improved all the forms to be smaller, more efficient, non-redundant, and easier to read and understand. She also has made customer-friendly folder, I think you meant folder, to all the most popular forms right next to the window so they're available to the public. She has also very quickly learned the heavy flow of zoning requests, land splits, new address, building permits, electrical, building, mechanical permits, and has streamlined these processes. And I've had many of my customers comment on how friendly and helpful Bobby was. When they contact our township office, says, I have worked for the township as the zoning administrator for 30 years, had multiple office people come and go. Bobby is the best that we've had in a long time. Let's keep her. I hope you all would thank Bobby for her excellent work in the front office. I know I will. Thank you, Bobby, for all you do. All right, supervisors report. So planning commission, no new business. Board of review, no new business. Sewer, no new business. Fire administration board will be June 17th. I believe those are at 5 o'clock, 5:30? Okay, 5:30, so if anybody wants to come up to that.
If you have it at 7, I would. I go to county meetings that time.
Yeah, I know. The fire coverage renewals, the established contracts, they're basically continuing on from, there was a 30-year agreement upon those. So if there's any changes onto it, both parties must be contacted 6 months prior. So by the time we got in and found these contracts, I mean, everything we've met with, I've talked with Jeff, I've talked with Mottville at this time, everything's staying the same, everybody's happy with what is done. Our building and grounds, Dave, our maintenance guy, has been taking care of stuff. He's working on some of the outside where some of the brick is failing, doing some stucco and some of that. We're gonna try to get some of that painted up. If everybody's noticed, we got the parking lot resealed, cracks filled, restriped, to try to keep our wonderful facility looking bright and beautiful. Alright.
Jason, is that where you were gonna talk about permits?
I can throw that in right now. One other thing, with Joe Wiki, our building inspector, there is, with the amount of storm damage and stuff that has happened in our area, anybody that is doing roofing, if they are putting a new roof on, a tear off and redo, it does require a building permit. Or anybody that is doing a metal overlay over top of shingles requires a building permit. There, with the amount of stuff going on, there are a lot of unlicensed contractors coming in the area. Any residential work that you do over $600 requires that you are a licensed Michigan contractor. Now, some people have other contractors pull permits for them. It's kind of a gray area, but just so you know, if you are doing a roof, get permits. It helps you out. It protects you, because if somebody does a roof and it's done improperly, they take off, you pay them. The first person they call is the building inspector to come help them. And Joe, like he tells them, at this point, there's nothing we can do because we did not come out and inspect it. You're basically taking them to small claims court, trying to get your money. Then you're paying someone to redo your roof, because more likely, if they didn't do stuff right the first time, they might not have nothing for you to go after. So, sheds and fences do require zoning permits. Depends on the size of the shed. If it's a certain size, and Mike will tell you that a building permit is required to fasten those to the ground. Fences, just a zoning permit, so they know where they're going. Pretty simple. So that addresses that part.
Can I say something?
Yes.
When I put my fence up, I asked about a zoning permit. Doug Koeman told me the only permit you need for a fence is for a wood fence. You don't need it for a chain link, chicken wire, or anything like that.
You're in the village, though. This is Township.
I didn't know if it was the same or not, because that's what I was told.
No, that would be, village. What's that?
It's not the same, we had to get one for our plastic, whatever kind of fence it is.
Cemetery report, mowing and trimming, the foundations were completed. We do have one more foundation that has to be put in. Somehow a form last year got misplaced on an order, so we're gonna get up this week and get that board so they can get a gravestone put in place. The military flags replaced for Memorial Day. 3 loads of branches removed. They're mowed and trimmed the fire department. No trash from the construction site for this month. So that's a good thing. So I hope they're getting to the final stages of that. Trash barrels emptied several times. One other thing that I want to address, like I said, I'll have to talk to Vince about this. We did receive billing from the employees. Vicki, I just want to comment, if you're in here, if you don't mind, if you would, on the last video when we did talking about the mowing and stuff like that. And I watched it a couple times. You stated that when you helped pick up branches and do the stuff out there and mowing when somebody was on there, that you never got paid for that.
No, I get paid for the mowing, but when after a storm, Braden and I go over and move stuff out of roads and stuff. You know, when we had some of the big storms, we just did it, and it was, you know.
Okay, cause I got, on the video, like I said, on the video I was watching, so when there was a timesheet, well, I was very
Yeah.
shocked
Yeah.
about that, so.
Well, we've had a couple guys that have been, had some medical issues, so one was off for a while and the other one was off for, so I filled in a lot before Memorial Day to
Okay.
try to keep things caught up. So.
Okay, now, like I said, all the rest of it, I'll go over with Vince on that, so.
I have a question. The military flags, do they stay there all
They pull them back
summer,
up,
or
don't
do
they?
they
They
just
take
stay
them
for a
out,
week and
like,
then?
They usually leave them all summer, and then.
Oh, they do?
They'll be
Yeah.
off, they'll be off by Labor Day.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, yeah,
I wasn't sure, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, and I guess I thought they put them on and pulled them back off, so.
No.
Alright, so let's say, ambulance report, from Amy, let's see here. So our population, so our population in Pigeon Township, we're up 6.57%, which increased a little. So our $37,555 is our budget, and that's 3 payments of that. Correct?
Yes.
One payment a year, 3 times.
Yeah.
It's a 3-year contract.
3-year contract, yes,
Three-year
yeah,
contract.
so.
Yeah,
So we are, doing that, we're trying to keep up with them on their calls, so I'm trying to watch, their response time on calls and that.
So I took an ambulance ride.
How was it?
It's pretty bad. It's, they need some shocks and, you know, some struts, and it's pretty bumpy.
I did ask because I was a little confused that, and I just asked a general question because I didn't know. So I said to him, I said, so we're paying $38,000 for this. I said, if I get in an accident and I'm taken by ambulance, are you gonna send me a bill? And he said, well, yeah, for whatever insurance doesn't cover. And I said, why am I getting a bill if I'm paying $38,000 a year? And he said, well, that's still just, this is just basically guaranteeing that there's gonna be 2 ambulances for White Pigeon Township. And it's only part of what they need to run. So, oh,
You
What?
can sign up for,
the $35 thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
for the family.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so, but, you know, I was thinking, okay, if we're paying that, why am I?
Well, let's, okay, so I mean, I totally agree with that part of it, but when you
Yeah.
think about it, so $37,000, that's not an average one person's pay for the year.
No,
Plus the vehicle, I mean,
No.
for just our
no,
township.
because
I
they
mean,
went
so-
through and, you know, you don't know the price of gas, then you've got their wages, then you've got, you know, they have medical insurance, and then you have maintenance on the vehicles, and then you stop and think, we're getting a kickback a little bit of that, because they pay for storage for here, so.
It's $500 a month.
Oh.
We're still getting a subsidy contract discount too from them because of them not being able to fulfill their contract duties.
Right.
So we've saved probably in the 3 years, probably 20 grand based on that.
Alright.
Oh, and the payments are not yearly. The payments, this cost is yearly, but the payments are quarterly, just to clarify what I said.
Okay. Need a treasury report?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Bobby's administrative assistant report, providing office support, she issued 29 dump passes for May, 56 burn permits for May. Township remains, let's see. She had approximately 12 hours of cemetery, clarifying plots, selling the families, yeah, and basically getting everything around for that, which has been mind-boggling, trying to get sorted through some of that stuff, but we're getting there.
We've had a lot of deaths that way too.
Yeah, it's been above normal for sure. Clerk's report, Lacey, anything?
No, but I did, just quick, I submitted to the school for reimbursement for the election, so we should be seeing that soon, cause it was accepted by the county, so.
Okay. Board comments, Sheila? Nita?
No.
Amy?
One quick one. and that's for Lou. I had a neighbor approach me about not having trucks come down our road. We're talking semis and big trucks constantly. And he wanted to know how we could stop it. And I said, well, I don't think that's a township. I think we have to go to the road commission. Am I correct?
Yeah, what road are you talking about?
Huff Road.
That would be a road commission issue. However, it depends on if that road is classified a Class A, Class B, it's a classification issue.
Okay.
Like North River Road, people don't want semis on North River Road, but it's classified that semis can go there.
Aha.
The neighborhoods, the entire route, nobody likes it. Nobody wants it because the road is narrow, a lot of curves, and they fly down that road. But Google sends them down that
Yes.
road in order to, instead of going 131 to 12 and across to Montville, they sends them down that road.
Because they're using a car GPS instead of a trucker's GPS, cause
Correct.
if you use trucker's GPS, it'll send you the highways.
Yeah,
But they don't want but you gotta pay for that,
right.
and they don't wanna do that.
Right.
Yeah, I know
So-
Google sends them a lot down our road
Yeah.
because I can hear it, especially like on motorcycles.
Yeah.
It'll come on and say, turn left at the
Yeah.
stop, So
But
I
you can definitely call John at the road commission,
okay,
and he'll do what he can, but like I said, I don't know enough of it
just
to
to
tell
find
you.
out
I
what
just know that it's a matter of
classification.
classification of the roadway.
Okay,
And then, if it's not classified for semis, then he's probably gonna refer you to the sheriff or state police to have them have patrols up and down.
They would have to post their personal through truck store, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
yeah,
So there's a little bit more involved than just, him putting up a sign saying no semis,
gotcha. I will
unfortunately.
relay the message, thank you.
Alright, you see anything? Myself, nothing? I would make a motion to adjourn at 7:11.
Second motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.